Well, hello and welcome to the Pup Mommy, where it's all about the pups. I'm sitting here in my house with 4 dogs and more stories to tell you than you have time to listen to. But that's not why you've tuned in. No, this is the first video in a 6-part series about the differences between adopting a dog from a rescue, and I need rescuing at the moment, hello, between adopting a dog from a rescue and adopting a dog from a breeder. Allegra. 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 I know, but you have to sit down. Yeah, I know, you want the lipstick, but you can't have lipstick, you're too young. Now, the major differences, I think, in my opinion, between breeders and rescues, for me, fall into 6 categories. 1, the adoption expense, meaning exactly what you're going to pay for the dog. 2, your dog availability, in terms of really getting the dog you want. 3, the buying adoption process. 4, the health of the dog. 5, temperament of the dog. Which, along with the health, are probably the 2 most important components of any dog adoption. And finally, number 6, the warranty and surrender policy. Oh, you didn't know that breeders and rescues have these? Yes, they do. And if they don't, then you need to exit fast from both of them. Now, in this video, I'm going to cover the expense of adopting dogs from a breeder versus the rescue, and hands down, I'll bet you know which is more expensive. But do you know why? So let's get started. Now, okay, so after you've watched my 8-part video series, To Puppy or Not to Puppy, you mean you didn't watch it? Well, if not, don't tell me. You've decided to get a puppy, or even a young or adult, or even a senior dog. Now, you've given in to the kids, or you're following the advice of Harry Truman, who said, if you want a friend, get a dog. And so now you're stuck. Do you want to go to a purebred? You want to go the purebred breeder route? Or do I want to go to the rescue shelter dog route? Now, whether you would choose to go to the route of a breeder or the route of rescue, I would say this: do your homework first. Because all breeders and rescues are not created equal. And by doing your homework first, it's better than the frustration and the anger and the crying 3 months after you've adopted the puppy and you've spent hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, to do so. So I tell you what, let's start with the breeder first, because why not? That's where the cash layout really gets serious. So when you go to a reputable breeder, starting prices for purebred dogs are going to average probably $1,000 and then go up exponentially from there. And by up, I mean several thousands of dollars. Now, when you've decided on a specific breed of pup, or you've narrowed it down to 2 or 3, then your cost will kind of depend on the type of breeder you go to. For example, is the breeder a champion bloodline breeder who participates in the AKC sanctioned events? Or is it a breeder who's a hobby breeder? And no, that hobby breeder is not the same as a backyard breeder. Or do you go to a commercial breeder? And no, that does not mean a puppy mill. So I will leave a link in the description section to a website that provides very specific details as to the different kinds of breeders that are out there. And they basically take that information and they divide it into 16 categories. So it's pretty extensive and pretty well covered. So why is a reputable breeder so expensive? Well, let's go into these reasons. First of all, there's the breeder and the breeder's costs. Now, I've left even another link to a breeder's website in the description section, who I find to be very realistic and believable in terms of the costs that a reputable breeder sustains in producing and caring for a litter of puppies. And while the link is for Dobermans, the costs are definitely applicable for most reputable breeders who fall into that champion hobby breeder category. Reason number 2 for why breeders are so expensive. Well, because of the breed of the dog. In this case, it's basically the law of economics and the law of supply and demand. You find breeders, you probably will find more breeders, well, not for you, You'll probably find more breeders for Labrador Retrievers than you will for Irish Wolfhounds. You're going to find more breeders for Scottish Terriers than you will for Scottish Deerhounds, and so on and so on. And then, of course, reason number 3 is, of course, the pups themselves. Are they from champion bloodlines? And keep in mind that this is extremely different than having a breeder tell you that his or her pups are AKC registered. Pups who come from champions will have champion bloodlines, will have the designation CH or GCH. Do you? I don't think so. Will have the designation, again, CH or GCH in their pedigree. And other determining factors, too, that add to the expense include if you want a pup from a litter of a specific female and male breeding pair. If you want a male or female pup, because yes, there is a cost difference. And also, too, if you want first pick, second pick, third pick of the litter, or you really don't care. Now, this pick that I just mentioned is decided on by the breeder, and it really is quite subjective. The breeder will look at the puppies after a certain length of time. They'll look at the coloring, their skeletal structure, the movement, and they'll make a decision as to which of the puppies are closest in conformation to the breed standard. And that feeds into how some breeders actually will price their puppies, because there's show quality and pet quality. And now that I've mentioned all these factors, from bloodline to parents to gender to pick, all of this is going to add hundreds of dollars, if not 1,000 or more, into the price tag that you pay for the pup. And one other point that I want to make, and I think it's really kind of an important one, most breeders set the price of their pups based on their cost and the market of supply and demand. I really have yet to see or meet a breeder who is going to negotiate the price of their pups with you. Because quite frankly, if they don't sell the pup to you, they're going to sell it to somebody else. So in other words, 99% of the time, the price is the price. And now that we've covered the expense of adopting from a breeder, well, let's look at the expense of adopting from a rescue or a shelter. Now, people adopt from a rescue or a shelter because they want to save a life, and it's part of their core belief system. And also because of financial reasons, because let's face it, dogs from shelters and rescues cost less. And by less, I mean a ton of money less. Now, when you go the rescue route, adoption fees will usually average about $300 a dog, depending on the location. And if specifically it's a breed rescue, sometimes the dog can be even as high as $500. But many rescues actually have a fee scale on a sliding scale. It begins at the top with the puppies at the highest price, which is basically the $300 or so. And then it goes down to young dogs, who are usually 1 to 3 years old, adults at 4 to 7, and seniors starting at 8 years and older. Now, on the other hand, if you were to go to a city or county-funded animal control center, those adoption fees are much lower, and they're usually average, at least in my area, they average somewhere between $50 to $100. And also, depending on the rescue and the shelter, and how long they've had the dog, especially when it comes to seniors or sometimes special needs dogs, the rescue or the shelter may actually waive the adoption fee. But you really would have to check with that rescue or shelter. Now, shelters should also be able to tell you about any special needs to help you make your decision. Now, again, too, in full transparency, my German Shepherd Ophelia is a special needs girl. And her story I will tell you in an upcoming video. And I can also tell you she's a handful. So if you are thinking about adopting a special needs pup, think long and hard. And do your homework about whatever disorder or illness is associated with that dog before you bring it into your home. Because I will tell you, there is nothing worse than returning a dog to a shelter or a rescue because you cannot cope with it. So please know what you're getting into before you're into it. And on that happy note, that's it for this video on the expected expense of adopting a dog from a breed or a rescue. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them alone. I can handle criticism. In fact, even if you have a comment as to what is that pillow doing on top of the chair behind me. Anyway, if you need assistance in finding the perfect pup for you or your family, I'll leave my contact information in the description. I will also leave a link to a video that I am very, very fond of. And that video is called The Gift. It is a YouTube video with over 39 million views. If you are seriously considering adopting a dog, whether going through the breeder route or going through the rescue, I urge you to watch this film. It will help you make your decision whether or not you truly are ready for adopting a puppy into your life. And I hope you are, because there's absolutely nothing like them. So thank you for joining me, and don't forget to click the subscribe button, and stay tuned for part 2 of this 6-part series, which deals with the availability of pups, and again, the availability of pups, the difference between breeder versus rescue. Bye for now.